I'm Kate Heishu-Lambert, Diversity Officer, and I'm so excited to introduce our Strategic Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Culture Initiative to you today. At Quad City Bank and Trust and QCR Holdings, we pride ourselves in being a relationship-driven organization. We are committed to fostering and preserving a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we strongly believe that it's our differences of all kinds that makes our companies and communities stronger and better. We collectively share in our 6 core values: passion, achievement, innovation, collaboration, accountability, and inclusion. For us, inclusion has everything to do with respecting each other's differences, celebrating our differences, and realizing how all of the ways that we're unique and individual make us better and stronger. But we don't just stop with how we're different. We look for common ground, similarities, and intersectionality from which to build a strong foundation. I'm looking forward to having a meaningful conversation with CEO and President John Anderson and Divot, as well as our Inclusion Committee's Chair and Co-Chair, Lindsay Anderson and James Pace. I'm so enthusiastic about our Inclusion Committee, which is comprised of incredibly talented employees who will serve as advocates and allies to our Strategic Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Culture Initiative at Quad City Bank and Trust.
Welcome, everyone. Divot and I are really thrilled today because we have with us our Chair and Vice Chair of the Quad City Bank and Trust Inclusion Committee. Our Chair is Lindsay Anderson. Our Vice Chair is James Pace.
So, Lindsay and James, I'm curious, why DEI? Why is this important to you, and why did you want to be involved in this committee?
Given the opportunity to be involved with the DEI initiative here at the bank was one that I was very excited about, and is very important. I know it's kind of a hot topic these days, but it does hit close to home for me, and it's definitely something I want to be a part of.
I have become more aware of the DEI initiative, and I want to contribute to it. I want to be a part of it. I want to help improve things and make this an inclusive place to work and an inclusive community for everybody in the Quad Cities.
So John, it's interesting. One of the things that we've learned is that oftentimes when we say diversity, people only really think about race, gender, sexual orientation. But for our company, for our employees, our clients and our communities, we really, truly embrace diversity of all kinds. So can you talk a little bit about your thoughts on diversity and really what that means for our organization and why it's important to you?
Yeah, Kate, it's a great question. And I think if you look at our tagline, relationships matter, and peel that back a little bit, it really is talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Relationships matter not just for a few, relationships matter for everyone. And when we include everyone in that relationship matters comment or tagline, that means everybody has a voice at the table. And for me, as one of the leaders of this organization, it is critically important that everybody have a chance to get to the table on their journey, and then when they're at the table, to make sure as a leader that I'm supporting them in also giving us their voice. That, to me, is something that I strongly believe in and want to help make a difference in our organization.
We've come to understand that organizations that embrace DEI are more likely to grow and prosper. And we believe at Quad City Bank that that's part of our role in the community. Continue to improve, continue to be an asset to what this community needs to continue to grow. When we ask our employees to take this journey, we are inviting them to grow as well. as individuals. And when they do that, they become better bankers, they become better members of their family, they certainly become better members of our community. I don't see anything other than positive effects when we get this work done and we do it right.
So our team is going to be super interested in what is the Inclusion Committee doing and what are some of the projects that we're working on. Why don't you go ahead and share a couple of those with us? James, maybe start with you.
Yes, so the Inclusion Committee is kind of started because, at Quad City Bank and Trust, it is part of our strategic plan. So what we will be working on, as the committee are things that are involved in our community, help out our fellow employees, and ultimately help our clients as well.
Our survey results are showing us that the conversation has expanded, that the reach is getting bigger. We know there's still a lot more work to do, but it feels like employees are open to the dialogue and open to the effort. And that, I don't know, is always the case at most organizations. I think it's leading to a different conversation than what we expected at this point in our journey. To me, we're farther along, a little faster than what I would have imagined.
Yeah, and I think there's a natural tendency with any team to maybe be a little skeptical until things start to roll out. And I think the most pleasing thing is that the number of participants that are applying or responding is growing.
With some of our work in renovating our facilities, we've also approached the Inclusion Committee about our process of making sure we're adding components that address making our buildings more inclusive. Again, addressing things that approach a more inclusive goal. How do you see us being more accountable to that? Do you feel like the Inclusion Committee is a place where we can bring these things to light and really have a good dialogue around that?
That's how we make change, is feeling like everyone has a voice. And so if someone has a concern with something that they don't see, like, hey, there might be a need for this because what customers say or what they're experiencing as employees, then they can come to us and we can try to implement something or see if we can come up with a solution to that problem. So
absolutely, this is an opportunity for us to serve our community at this point, to get the feedback. And Quad City Bank's always been a very family-friendly company to work for, and the experience that I've had. But it's to be able to pass that on to the community and understand what the community needs from the bank is a huge opportunity for us. So
yeah, totally agree.
What I love about diversity, equity, and inclusion is I believe to some degree it's embedded in our culture and it's in our DNA as to who we are as Quad City bankers. So if you expand our DEI culture, what I think is important for us is that we create a safe and inclusive environment where we're not only defending, but we're expanding our inclusivity so that we reach all parts of our community.
In order for our culture and our footprint, for the changes that we are implementing today, the strategies, for them to be transformational, sustainable, and to last lifetimes, what are the things that we really have to focus on to make sure that they carry us forward into the future?
I believe one of the biggest things we need to continually be mindful of is that change isn't bad. When we embrace change as a culture, and I believe we have more work to do in this space, when we're not afraid of change, then we allow those new ways of doing business and new ways of working to penetrate. If we don't embrace change, if we don't add this element of inclusion and diverse thoughts and diverse voices, then we limit what comes our way and we limit what decisions we make.
I think our actions have to also align perfectly with our words. I think that's critically important, that it's not just about saying, it's about doing. And I think that comes from a genuine heart. When we embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our employees know that it's coming from an authentic place. But I think the other piece to it that maybe we don't think about is our community sees it as well. Because when our clients come in and they see a team that feels valued and appreciated and included, it's natural.
So is there any last words that you'd love to share with people today about why this is such an incredible initiative, not just for our employees, not just for our future, but for the amazing community of Quad Cities and all of the people that we serve?
I think the thing that gives me the greatest joy and the sense of, wow, our future is super bright, is that we're a company that is embracing this, and we're saying it's so important to us that we are going to have these conversations. One of the things that has been beneficial to me is hearing employees share their personal stories. Some of them, as you know, have been really hard for me to hear and very emotional. But what it's done for me is it's opened the door to understanding the voices that are out there. And what that tells me is, as we develop our future is incredibly bright because we are finding ways to make sure it's an inclusive organization. And that gives me great joy.
Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. Sometimes people ask us, why are you doing diversity, equity, and inclusion? And here at Quad City Bank and Trust and QCR Holding, we believe that it's our responsibility to bring our best selves in order to be our best for all of you. We look forward to seeing you again soon.